There is a piece of Russian land that exists about 150 miles away from the rest of Russia. And that piece of land is called Kaliningrad. It is surrounded by Lithuania, Belarus, and Poland, and it borders the Baltic Sea. But historically, this region was known as Königsberg, and it was a part of a German-speaking region in East Prussia. It was a large city, it was also the capital and the greatest seat of military power in the Prussian Empire. If you want my little intro on Prussia, you should watch my previous post, which I captioned here. At least it was the Prussian seat of power until Frederick I moved it over to Berlin. But it was still the most heavily fortified region in the empire because they had to deal with Poland and Russia. Königsberg did not just produce great military minds, it also produced some of the best philosophers in European history, one of them being Immanuel Kant. Its older history is similar to the rest of Prussia's. It used to be a region held by the Teutonic Knights, and then it got absorbed by the Polish and Lithuanians, and then it became part of the Prussian Empire. Like I said, it was that seat of power. Now, Königsberg remained a part of the German Empire when everyone was unified in 1871, and it stayed a part of Germany after World War I. But when World War II concluded, that piece of land was taken from the Germans and brought directly into the Soviet Union. Once the Soviets were able to take Königsberg, they changed the name to Kaliningrad, named after Mikhail Kalinin, who was one of the big administrative heads during the Soviet Union's formation. He was one of the great leaders of the Soviet Union in paper, and he was pretty much used as a figurehead to justify Stalin's really brutal actions, especially his purges. But we all know the Russians don't like to just change names, they like to kick out the entire native population and fill it with their own people, and that is exactly what happened to Kaliningrad. The Germans were just forcibly removed, replaced with Russians. And you might be wondering, how come when the Soviet Union fell, Kaliningrad still remained a part of Russia? Why couldn't it be its own country or part of Lithuania? That's because the deal that was worked out with the Germans at the conclusion of World War II said that